And even as you plan for the counteroffensive, which we have been working on with you for some 4 or 5 months, we are already beginning our discussions with the Ukrainian government and with friends in Kyiv, both in the civilian side and on the military side, about Ukraine's long-term future.
This is my first video update from Nicosia, Cyprus on this Saturday midday. Let's talk about some news, and let's start things off with the commander of the Ukraine Armed Forces, Zaluzhny. Zaluzhny is back. He has finally surfaced. He made an appearance the other day at a science event in Odessa. A strange place for Zaluzhny to resurface. But anyway, he made an appearance at this science event. There was a video that came out a couple of days ago, and it shows Zaluzhny sitting behind a desk. He speaks to the camera for about like 20 or 30 seconds. He waves hello. He says a few words, and that was it. And then he did he took some selfies, and he did some other videos standing up because a lot of people were speculating that he was sitting down behind the desk because he had shrapnel in his legs or something like that. But that doesn't appear to be the case. So Zaluzhny is back. He disappeared for 3 weeks, and no explanation has been given why he disappeared for 3 weeks, including missing a very important NATO meeting. No explanations were given, except for the one explanation that he was attending some friend's wedding for like 3 days, and that's why he couldn't make this NATO meeting. So the fact that he's returned, and the information specifically from RIA Novosti that he had been injured in action, and he got shrapnel to the legs, and he had to undergo surgery to the head, and he would not be leading the Ukraine forces. It appears that that information is bogus, and he was missing in action for 3 weeks because we don't know. Obviously, he wasn't injured on the battlefield. He wasn't in the hospital. So where was he for 3 weeks? Where was he for 3 weeks? I think that Zaluzhny disappeared for 3 weeks because he's got problems with Zelensky. He's got problems with the push for a spring, summer, fall, winter, fall, spring, winter, fall offensive. I think he knows that this offensive is going to end in disaster. And I think he either disappeared for 3 weeks because he wanted to disappear, or Zelensky and NATO told him to take 3 weeks off or rethink his position with regards to the big offensive and all of this stuff. And so they said, look, 3 weeks, just disappear, or you better rethink your stance on this offensive because it's going to go through. We're going to do it, so you better come back, and you better support the offensive. You better support Zelensky, and take some time to rethink your choices. Something like that must have happened. There must have been some falling out or some disagreement. Couple Bakhmut into all of that as well, the fall of Bakhmut, and throw that into the mix. And I'm sure that there was some sort of tension, and Sullivan, Nuland, Blinken, Zelensky, NATO, Stoltenberg, they told Zaluzhny to take some time off and disappear and come back, and either you support what we're doing or else. And sure enough, Zaluzhny came back. He made this appearance at this science event, and it looks like he's on board with everything that's about to take place now. He even, his office dropped a video, like a big, slick Hollywood promo video, kind of like a preview of the big offensive that's coming. Really, really well produced, really good, high budget Hollywood stuff, kind of promoting the big offensive that's coming, and Zaluzhny is back, the offensive is on its way, and Russia's about to be defeated type of video, a motivational video, and that was dropped by his office as well. So the fact that this video was done in Hollywood somewhere, and Zaluzhny dropped this video on social media, to me signals that whatever problems Zaluzhny had with Zelensky, with Bakhmut, with the big offensive, he took some time off, he thought about things, and he came back, and now he's on board with everything that's going on. So anyway, Zaluzhny is alive and well, and there still are some theories that this is not Zaluzhny, this is some clone, this is some deep fake. I don't think so. I think the chances of that are very, very slim. But maybe Zaluzhny really did end up in the hospital, and the U.S. and the Zelensky regime, they tracked down Putin's clone doctors, the doctors that have successfully cloned Putin, and they got them to clone Zelensky as well. I don't know. I'm just joking. I'm pretty convinced that what we saw was indeed Zaluzhny, and we saw Zaluzhny who did not want to support the offensive and Zelensky, but he came back, and now he's in support of everything that's about to happen. So enough of that. Let's move on now, and since we are talking about the big offensive that offends us all, we have an interview with another intel guy. This time it's Danilov, and this intel official. You have Budanov, who's the one intel guy. Danilov is the other intel guy. He gave an interview to the BBC, and he said that Ukraine will begin the counteroffensive. He said it is ready to begin. And he said that Ukraine has the weapons it needs, the forces are all trained up, and the offensive will indeed be starting. That is what he told the BBC in an interview that he gave the other day. Danilov's position is the Secretary of the National Security and Defense Council. Danilov also told the BBC that the offensive had not begun, contrary to what Podolyak said the other day, that the offensive was already underway. Danilov said that he rejected the suggestion that the counteroffensive had already begun, but he did say that the offensive will begin. He didn't give dates or anything like that, but he said it's coming up. He said it is coming up. He said it could happen tomorrow, it could happen in the next day, in a week, but it's coming. The defensive is, the big counteroffensive is on its way. And we had this article, let me find it here. This article from the Washington Post with the title, "Sunny Weather in Southern Ukraine Suggests New Fighting Season Has Begun." So the Washington Post is basically saying that that weather is all good now, and there are no more excuses left for the Zelensky regime, for Syrsky, for Zaluzhny. So get on with it. What are you guys waiting for? We want an offensive. We demand an offensive. Let's get rolling with that offensive. The weather is sunny. It's all good. Let's get this offensive started. So out of NATO, we have this article from Reuters, which says that NATO is struggling in the shadows to find a new leader. According to Reuters, NATO is having a really difficult time replacing the excellent work of Stoltenberg, and some of the candidates that are being considered for the top job of NATO are Kaja Kallas, the Estonian Prime Minister, We have Chrystia Freeland of Canada, the ruler of Canada, Chrystia Freeland. And we have Ursula von der Crazy. These are three people in the running to replace Stoltenberg. There's a couple of other names that this article threw out there, but to be quite honest, I forgot who they were. I think one of them is a politician either in Denmark or Norway, and I think that's it. I think they threw in Boris Johnson's name as well, but Bojo, I think, is an outside contender. I think Boris Johnson has already been given his job by the globalists. Boris Johnson's job is to travel the United States and to try to keep Americans committed to Project Ukraine. Boris Johnson met with Donald Trump yesterday, and they talked about Ukraine, and Boris Johnson was meeting with Trump to convince Trump to stop his campaign policy of ending the Ukraine war and to change Trump's mind so that Trump can now go around as he's campaigning for 2024 and to say that he will not pull out support for the Zelensky regime. And Boris Johnson was also meeting with Trump to convince Trump that Ukraine is winning this conflict. So Boris Johnson's task has been to go around the U.S. and to keep everyone invested in Project Ukraine. He was in Texas the other day trying to get support in Texas for Project Ukraine, which just really means money. Trying to get Texans to continue to cough up their money and their tax dollars and hand it over to the Zelensky regime. So Boris, while he is mentioned as a NATO contender, I think he's an outsider. I think the two big contenders, in my opinion, or the three big contenders, are Kallas, Freeland, and I think it's going to go to von der Crazy. If I had to place a bet, I would say that von der Crazy would get the top job, but we'll see. We will see. Anyway, Reuters is saying that they're having a hard time finding someone to replace Stoltenberg. They mentioned that Stoltenberg may be pushed to stay on for another year, but I think Stoltenberg wants out. He's already been the head of NATO 1 year longer than he should have been. So I think that Stoltenberg wants to move on to his next globalist position. While we're on the subject of NATO, we had an interesting article from the New York Times with the title, "If a Divided Germany Could Enter NATO, Why Not Ukraine?" West Germany joined NATO in 1955, choosing security over immediate territorial integrity. Some suggest the same path could be the best guarantee for Ukraine. Now, this is an interesting article. I will actually put an archive link to this article in the description box, because basically what this article is saying from the New York Times is that if the counteroffensive concludes in a stalemate, or if Ukraine gains territory but can't push any further, then the best option going forward is not so much a freeze in the conflict, but some sort of peace, some sort of cessation in hostilities, and then pushing whatever remains of Ukraine into NATO. That would be the plan. So even if things don't go as well for Ukraine in this offensive, getting Ukraine into NATO would be a way to achieve some sort of victory in this conflict with Russia. That is basically what this article is saying, and I think that that is exactly what is going to happen, or at least that's what they're going to push to happen, because Henry Kissinger, he gave an interview to the Wall Street Journal to celebrate his 100th birthday, And Kissinger once again said that Ukraine needs to go into NATO. He said this a few weeks back, I think, to the Financial Times, and he said it again to the Wall Street Journal. He said that the only way to resolve the conflict right now between Russia and Ukraine is to put Ukraine into NATO, because Ukraine, according to Kissinger, has the most powerful European army, and so it only makes sense now for Ukraine to be part of NATO and to have the most powerful army in Europe be a part of NATO, as well as having the protection of NATO for Ukraine. He says that that's the only way to resolve the conflict with Russia. So I think this may be the path that we're heading towards. Of course, Russia has to sign up to all of this. Russia has to agree to this, or Russia has to be defeated, or at a point of defeat where they agree to a type of cessation and hostilities and a Ukraine in NATO, or a part of Ukraine in NATO, along the lines of the West German model. Of course, things are not the same with West Germany and East Germany as they are with Russia and Ukraine, and the New York Times points this out. But the general premise is some sort of ceasefire, preferably with some sort of progress of Ukraine in this offensive, and with this ceasefire, a model where Ukraine enters NATO, and eventually, over many, many years, the model of West Germany comes into effect, where over many, many decades, the West finds a way to reintegrate, to take back, to capture the territory that Russia controls. In other words, Zaporozhye, Kherson, Donetsk, Lugansk, and eventually Crimea. The West Germany model. That is what they are looking at. Just 2 weeks ago, they were talking about the North Korea model, freezing the conflict and creating a demilitarized zone, and going along the model of North Korea, South Korea. Now it looks like we are being pushed towards a West German model. That's what we're looking at, and that's what the New York Times is talking about. And I think this is very, very possible. I think this may be the direction where they want to take things. So that is the article from the New York Times. Let's now shift gears and talk about Hungary and Serbia. So the Hungarian foreign minister, he was in Serbia at a rally, which I believe was in support of the Serbian government and of Vučić. And the Hungarian foreign minister, he said, and I quote, "Both our countries are facing problems, and both are being relentlessly attacked by the international liberal mainstream. But why are they attacking us? Because Hungarians and Serbs are defending their national interests, because we have strong leaders. They attack us because we want peace in Ukraine and do not contribute to the escalation. They attack us because we are committed to family values and do not allow them to dictate their will to us." That is what Peter Siarto said at an event in support of Serbia, and I believe in support of the Vučić government. Now, Hungary is set to take over the rotating presidency in the European Union, and this is freaking out a lot of the globalist EU parliament members and EU member state leaders. It's freaking them out so much that they are actually cooking up a way to prevent Hungary from taking over the presidency of the European Union in July. That is how afraid they are of Hungary and what Hungary might do if it becomes president, or if it takes over the rotating presidency in July for the European Union. What might Hungary do? Well, it might promote peace between Ukraine and Russia, and they cannot have that. They do not want that at all, and so they are going to find ways to prevent Hungary from taking over the presidency of the European Union in July. And one of those ways that they're exploring is the human rights. Orban is an authoritarian dictator route. So we'll see what will happen if Hungary is able to take the presidency of the European Union in July, or if these globalist forces will find a way to prevent Hungary from taking the presidency of the European Union. If that does happen, then you are pushing Hungary, the European Union is pushing Hungary one step closer to an exit from the EU. Keep in mind that the European Union also has this dispute with Hungary over funds that they're holding back from Hungary, citing, once again, human rights, authoritarian issues with the Orban presidency, and they owe Hungary something like 8 billion euros or something like that, and they're preventing Hungary from getting that 8 billion euros, or maybe it's more than 8 billion euros. But the EU is really, they're really going hard against Hungary because they want the Orban government out. They want to see the Orban government go. And what they may actually accomplish is not the exit of the Orban government, but they may actually accomplish the exit of Hungary from the European Union. So let's do a clown world, and let's start off with Annalena Baerbock. And Baerbock was the foreign minister of Germany. She was in Saudi Arabia about a week and a half ago. And the Financial Times, they went on the road with Annalena, and they're now reporting about the road trip with the foreign minister of Germany. And the title of the Financial Times article is "Tanks, Vodka, and Feminism on the Road with Germany's Top Diplomat." Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock has made a political comeback, juggling green values with realpolitik. So this fluff piece, this PR piece for Annalena Baerbock is, I don't know if it makes her look good or makes her look even more stupid, to be quite honest, more incompetent, because the Financial Times, they revealed that when Baerbock was in Saudi Arabia, she presented the prince with a book she wrote on the struggle for women's rights. According to the Financial Times, Der Spiegel, the German publication, they compared Annalena's trip to a vampire visiting a garlic shop. A vampire visiting a garlic shop. Here's what the Financial Times says. A visit to Saudi Arabia is not an easy assignment for Annalena Baerbock, Germany's foreign minister and a vocal champion of feminism and human rights. Der Spiegel compared the trip to a vampire visiting a garlic shop. Yet since taking office in December 2021, the former Green Party leader has defied her party's reputation for dogmatism by acting as an arch pragmatist, ready to balance principles with realpolitik. During a press conference with her Saudi counterpart last week, Baerbock praised the country's efforts to find solutions to crises in Yemen and Sudan and held its incredible potential for partnership on renewable energy. But she also cautioned that it was no secret that many things still divide us in the field of human rights, and handed the minister a copy of her 80-page handbook on feminism, foreign policy. I wonder how that went over with the Saudi prince. I don't know. I don't know how that one went over with Saudi Arabia. Anyway, that's Baerbock promoting her book to Saudi Arabia. as she's acting as foreign minister for Germany. So let's do another clown world, and we'll wrap this video up. And let's talk about another propaganda puff piece. This one is coming from Business Insider. And Business Insider, they're running an article with the title, Ukrainian Women Training for War Can Kill Russians with Office Supplies, Resistant Group Leader Says. This is from May 25th, 2023. A friend of mine sent this to me, and I couldn't believe this article, to be quite honest. I thought this was the Babylon Bee or something, but sure enough, this is a real article. Let me read you from this article. I don't think I have to put any commentary into this. I'll just read you straight from the article and we'll end the video. Forget guns and grenades. Ukrainian women training for war can kill Russians using just office supplies, a resistance group leader said. Ukraine Women's Guard founder Olena Beletsky bragged that some of the women in the resistance group can fight and kill with commonplace items like writing utensils. We have women who can kill individuals with office supplies, you know, Beletsky said in an interview with war correspondent Tim Mack. Like a pencil or a pen, it's not just guns or rifles, but the objects available in an office supplies store. Beletsky founded the Ukraine Women's Guard in 2014 as a way to prepare women for war. Since then, the Guard has trained over 60,000 women, Mack reported. While much of the Guard's classes focus on combat, the students, who Beletsky calls Amazonians, according to Mack, also learn how to provide battlefield medicine, humanitarian support, and the intelligence information. Beletsky told Mack she hopes to teach the Guard's trainees that they can do anything. Yeah, this is Hollywood movie. This has Hollywood movie written all over it. I mean, I am positive they're writing the script to this Hollywood movie right now as we speak. The screenplay is being put together right now as we speak. They can kill people with a pencil, like in John Wick. Remember in John Wick where he took someone out with a pencil? That's how good they are. All they need is a pencil or a pen, and they can take out entire platoons. Oh boy. Oh, the propaganda we're fed. Anyway, that is the video, everybody. TheDuran.locals.com. We are on Rumble, ODYSEE, BitChute, Telegram, and Rockfin. And go to the Duran shop. 10% off. Pick up a Duran backpack. Use the code GOODDAY. Take care.